It's not unusual to hear somebody express the cynical perspective that history teaches us nothing. The idea that somehow or another all that has gone before is just transcended by our quest for the immediate. It's not really true if we think about it for long. For example, in the 19th century, Jonathan Edwards is calling, along with some of his friends, for a great awakening. Why is there a need for a great awakening? Well, because some of the main New England institutions had over the years moved away from the foundation that had given them the structure of their entire approach to the educating of young people. So for example, not many people realize that although Harvard was founded in 1636, 7 years later, in the handbook that was given out to the students at Harvard, you imagine you go to your freshman class, you get a handbook, and it says that it was the responsibility of every student to be plainly instructed and earnestly pressed to consider well that the main end of his life or her life and studies is to know God and Jesus Christ, which is eternal life, and therefore to lay Christ as the only foundation of all sound knowledge and learning. Quickly in response to that, in the beginning of the 18th century, Yale, bemoaning the fact that Harvard was already slipping from its convictions, they tried to put paid to that, and finally Princeton came along to try and take care of both Harvard and Yale. Now, most of us want to have access to those institutions, but we understand this, that ideas really matter. Ideas really matter. And therefore, the things that become the foundation, not only of our everyday events, but also in terms of our entire view of the world, are of fundamental importance. And I think we have perhaps spoken before about the fact that there are three big lies which are fairly pervasive at this point in our culture. One is that there is no personal creator God. Another is that there is no absolute morality, and another that there is really no ultimate truth. Now that's a lot of material, but if we take just a moment on the first of these, we realize that while there is, if you like, in the American paradox of life in which we're living, this strange antithesis between people's frequent, alert attention to the notion of a God consciousness, and at the same time, a belief that there is actually no personal creator God. How can this be? Well, the psalmist says that it is the fool that has said in his heart, there is no God. Now, that's not an expression of an absence of intellectual capacity, but it is an expression of man's defiance of the God whom he knows to be the creator, the God who has set eternity in his heart, and so on. So much so that the quest for an understanding of things is, according to the Bible, ultimately deficient when we leave that out of the equation. In fact, you could argue that it is the great miscalculation to seek to make sense of my journey through life absent the reality of God.